Through much of the 19th century and up until the 1960s and 1970s, in some cases even more recently, scholars from the mainstream of Southern Baptist religion and culture, at universities like Furman and Mercer and at institutions like the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary and the North and South Carolina Baptist Historical Societies, dealt reasonably candidly with the extreme behavior of early separate Baptist preachers and congregations in the Carolinas. These extremes dated back to the 1760s and 1770s, before the separates were drawn into more acceptable conduct by the Baptist church mergers in southern states and related cultural transformations of the late 1780s and 1790s. Southern Baptists are now, by far and away, the largest religious denomination in the Carolinas, and publications in recent decades have minimized the separates' initial religious and political behavior. Baptists are hardly unique. Other Protestant denominations have also tidied up with respect to the decade of the Revolution. The newly active Methodists, whom we will revisit in the Chesapeake region, were not a major presence in the northern or southern back country. Their seeming Toryism in eastern Maryland, pro-British missionaries and occasional interference with patriot militia recruitment was less of a problem in Virginia. Separate Baptist activity in the South first unfolded in the North Carolina Piedmont after the arrival in 1755 of New England missionary Shubal Stearns. He and his brother-in-law, Daniel Marshall, established a church at Sandy Creek, east of what is now Greensboro. In just 17 years, a network of 42 new churches and 125 ministers developed from that small beginning, making the Sandy Creek Church the mother of all separate Baptists. Separate Baptists, whose beliefs also reflected and bred dislike of civic authority, helped to nurture the North Carolina Regulator movement. This came about through the overlapping Sandy Creek Association, founded in 1766 to confront local corruption and encourage rural political activism. Although not a member, Stearns kept in close touch. Following the Regulators' defeat at the Battle of Alamance, fought just a few miles away in 1771, troops under the order of Governor Tryon devastated this section of the Piedmont. The membership of the Sandy Creek Separate Baptist Church plummeted to 14 from 600 as residents fled. Tryon, who led the reprisals, charged that the majority of rebellious farmers were Baptists and Quakers. This was probably true, but the interaction of Baptist New Lights and Quaker Inner Lights in the North Carolina backcountry told only part of the tale. The Pennsylvania-fed population of the Piedmont also included two other faiths with mystical and pacifist overtones: Dunkards, Moravians, and loosely affiliated sympathizers of German background. The Regulator movement also bore some of their imprint, according to one of its closest researchers. No group so unusual or so unmilitarily minded was likely to reassemble to fight under Loyalist auspices. 100-odd miles to the southwest, many of the same population groups, Pennsylvanian and North Carolinian, Scotch-Irish, German and English, Presbyterian and Baptist, had also been pouring into the South Carolina backcountry. Churches were few and denominational lines were melting. Larger numbers of Scotch-Irish were disaffecting, and here again the influence of Shubal Stearns was at work, albeit through preacher Philip Mulkey, whose preachings went far beyond those of his early mentor. Just as Stearns seeded a large group of separate Baptist associations in Piedmont, North Carolina, Mulkey did so in South Carolina, beginning in 1759 or 1760. Older histories of South Carolina Baptists identify his Fair Forest Church as the first in a network of separate associations that rapidly spread through that province's backcountry. Their locations, collected and marked in one old map, can be shorthanded as the area lying between the Broad and Saluda rivers. It is no coincidence that Revolutionary War buffs use this same shorthand to describe the regional stronghold of Loyalists and would-be neutrals during the South Carolina Civil War of 1775. Distaste for Mulkey was one of the few criticisms voiced by Anglican Woodmason and also by Richard Furman and Oliver Hart, the two leading but non-separate Baptists on the Patriot side in 1775 and 1776.